All right, number 13. So Rhonda has a job. She drives a car for a company. Each month, she's paid the same salary. She's also paid extra money for the number of miles she drives the car each month. Here it tells us how much Rhonda earned in July and August. So, which function can be used to find Y, the total amount she's paid in a month if she drives X miles? So, we can easily figure out how much she gets paid for driving the mileage she gets paid. But what is her salary? That is the part we're trying to figure out. So let's understand what we're dealing with. We want to use y equals mx plus b. Any linear relationship is easier when you put the equation or equations in this form to begin with. Okay, so let's understand. So this is the rate. This is the number of miles. And the B, that is the question we're trying to answer. We want to know what her salary is. So there are some things we can do. I just happen to pick that first month, July, and make the equation from that. So we see here total of $3,502. Well, this, the Y, that is the total. That is the result. 640 miles, that's how far she drove. Well, first of all, let's find out how much she's paid per mile. Excuse me. Once we know how much she made per mile, then we multiply that by the number of miles and subtract that from the total, and that will tell us what she gets paid every month for her salary. All right. So I'm going to highlight in yellow as I go. All right. So Rhonda was paid a total of $3,502. Now, she got that total because she drove 640 miles times a certain number of miles, and then she had a starting salary. We don't know what that is. That's why we have it represented with a B. In the linear equation, the B is always the starting amount. So whether Rhonda drives 1 mile or 1,000 miles, it doesn't matter. She's going to have an amount in her salary no matter how much she drives. She then gets extra for driving the miles. But since we have our equation set up, y equals mx plus b, well, we can solve for x. And so what we can do is we take the 3,502 and we subtract the 640x on the left, because what we're doing is we're taking the second amount, this right here, we're doing the same thing. We have that set up just like so. So we have July equals August. Now once we have that, what we can do is start to solve for the value of x. So I'm going to take away $3,502 from the left, and then I'm also going to do that from the right. So then that leaves a negative 640x equals 99 minus 820x. So when I take the 820x and I add its opposite, I can get rid of it on the right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that over to the left and combine it with the negative 640x, which leaves 180x equals 99. Then I want to get the x by itself, so I divide by 180 on both sides, and that's how I know x equals 0.55. So she gets 55 cents a mile. Now here's the thing. It doesn't matter which equation you plug that into, but you're going to take one of the equations. I just happen to like this one. And I want to try and find out what b is. Now that I know what x is, I want to find out what b is. So I can take this equation right here that I'm circling, right there. And where the x is, I put the value that I determined. Otherwise, it's the same equation. So then what I do is I multiply the 640 times 55 to get the 352. And I don't know what the b is yet, so I'm saying plus b. I didn't do anything to the 3502. Now I want b by itself, so I'm going to get rid of this 352 by adding its opposite. And what I end up with, I will highlight in green, is what b is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and look at my answers. And I want to remember, I know what my y is. I know what the m is. Of course, x is going to be there. And the b is that number right there I just circled. So let's go through and see if we can find one. And indeed we can. This one matches. That is our answer. Let's check our answer. And there you go.